Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self Love Lounge. Today, we are going to be talking all about the topic of our toxic traits. And with us today, we have the fabulous Nicole Ristau, who is a
Hi.
lifestyle coach, a sober mom who transformed adversity into empowerment. We are so excited to have you with us today, Nicole. Thank you so much for
Well,
being
thank
here.
you.
Of course. So tell us a little bit more about your journey and how you started on this path of sobriety. Where did that all of that begin?
Well, I'm gonna say I have 4 years coming up this Monday on March 11th, which took a lot of work.
Congratulations.
So, where did I start? Uh, I was sleeping on a concrete floor in my store and I was homeless and thought that, getting sober would be the best way to go. I'm just kidding.
Mhm.
No, but that's not a lie, actually. Um, I have complex PTSD and I have a lot of childhood traumas and then relationship traumas. And I really didn't learn my self worth. And I coped with alcohol and I kept it a secret until I couldn't. And then I literally went into a mental psychosis, lost everything, lost my children, lived in my store for 6 months and drank a lot, hung out with a lot of homeless people. I don't know, it was definitely a humbling experience, but I feel that I needed to go through that because it's kind of uh, it's God's purpose. My pain is my purpose to help heal others and show them the resilience and that no matter how low you are, you could still get out no matter what.
I
So,
love that. I love that.
yeah.
So, what woke you up?
I don't even know actually. I just decided that on my first sober date was St. Patty's Day and I was like, I'm done. Like I missed my kids. I just needed to go I needed to get my shit together. Like what the hell was I doing, right? And so
Mhm.
once I made that decision, I closed my store down and I got into sober living. And then I didn't really do any of the work the first
Mhm.
round, right? I didn't even realize how much trauma I actually went through. Like I was aware somewhat, but not really. And so I went to sober living and then I had 9 months sober. I started doing some deeper therapy, some EDMR therapy and relapsed and that was for a couple months. I started having memories of things that I blacked out from when I was a child, of like being sexually abused and just a
Mhm.
bunch of stuff, right? And so, and actually, the first thing is like I didn't even accept that I was an alcoholic. Like I didn't think I had a problem, and
Yeah.
like that was the biggest thing. Is like I just wanted to see if I actually had a problem. And then 2 months later, I was in detox and I blew a point 0.4 and I decided that my hands were up in the air and I was going to do whatever I needed to do. My dad and some friends and therapists, they all like got together, sent me away to Utah to Ascend Recovery. And I was there for the residential for 2 months. And it was like the best, most painful experience ever because I actually went inside, like into my like soul and my mind, and um, a lot of tears and a lot of awareness. Um, and so, like that was
Mhm.
when I really started dealing with my childhood trauma and my relationship trauma. And then I had 3 kids, right? And I'm like living this double life. My kids, I'm like being, like society nowadays as a woman and a mom and an entrepreneur, you have to have it all together. And if you fall, like everyone points fingers at you, right?
Yeah.
And so I hit it really, really well. Um, and I love my kids; like they're my heart and soul. And then I also have my new little sober blessing, Tommy Rose, who is 20 months, and so she
Mm.
came, after I got sober. But so yeah, I went and started doing the work, and I didn't help anyone for like the first 2 years. I
Wow.
I just took it was about me, and the 2 months I was in residential, um, and actually like in the 6 months that I was in my store, which is kind of like crazy, is like the freest I've ever felt. It was like the first time I never had to take care of anyone, and like no one was around controlling me. Like I was
Ooh.
the one in control. And that like never happened, right? But as you learn when you go through therapy and you have codependency issues, you actually have a lot of control issues. And me keeping like the perfect life and not letting anyone know is like I'm trying to control the situation, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until like I've always believed in God and a higher power, right? But this past year um, was probably the biggest awakening, like my second awakening, I would like to call it. Besides my first one when I was in my store withdrawing, those withdrawals were horrible, and I should have been in a hospital, and I was not, and I was hallucinating, and like my
Wow.
cat was laying on my chest to keep my heart pumping. They're like cats have this like sixth sense or whatever to help humans. They'll lay on your heart to keep it pumping. I didn't
I
know
did
that until
not.
afterwards.
Yeah, I did not
But
know
it
that.
was, I mean, when I say I saw demons and like one, it was so crazy. Like the detox that I did, went through the first round. The second round, I actually went to detox 3 times. Um, when I was in my like little relapse, my dad sent me to a detox, and it was like it's called Denver Health, and that's where like a lot of the homeless people go. And it was one of the craziest experiences. I chose to go. I didn't even have alcohol in my system, but I knew my body was going to withdraw, right? So they put me in this like wagon, locked me up in this metal thing. It's like late at night. There's a guy next to me. Like you can't get out. It's like pitch dark. And this guy's like screaming, "Let me out. I have metal in me." Like it was like so crazy. And then they put you on the floor. They gave you like a mat, a blanket, and a pillow. And they gave me benzos, knocked me out for a couple days. And they're like, "You didn't respond to us at all." And I was like, I don't, I was not even aware. Like, you were talking to me, and like, I'm laying on the floor listening to all these homeless people, right? And they're like, "Oh, we'll be back tonight. It's a free dinner and a warm place to stay." And I was just like, what am I getting myself into?
Mm.
Right. And then I had another, I went back to drinking, even though I don't know, like I just didn't think I had a problem. And like that is the biggest thing. Like anyone has to like accept
So I wanted to
is,
ask you,
yeah.
not to interrupt, but
Oh, no, you're fine.
when you were saying, the experience where you were laying on the mat, what was, I know you were out for a couple days, but did you feel like you belonged there? Did you feel like you could relate to the people you were surrounded by, or did you feel completely out of place and like, I don't have a problem, this isn't me?
I could relate to their pain,
Okay. Tell
and
me,
that was
what do you mean
because a
by their
lot of
pain?
them. I mean, my past is pretty dark, and what I grew up in, and I grew up in a very toxic environment. My parents were divorced at 5. Um, I was around a lot of partying, a lot of cocaine. Um, I sorry, I don't really talk about this much, but I don't have a really good relationship with my mother. I actually haven't spoke to her in 5 years, and that was due to I just need to heal, and I do wish her the best, and I forgive everything. Like she did the best that she could, and she has her own traumas, right?
Sure.
But we just were not in the best situation, and I protected my little brother, and I moved out when I was 15 with my three oldest. Moved out, and then I lived with my dad for like a year. We got kicked out for selling weed, and then we started being nomads, right? And we started selling drugs, and here I am, like living another double life. Here, I graduated 20th in high school. I was all conference soccer, and like, it was so
Wow.
crazy. Like, I told myself at the age of 8, I never wanted to be like my family. Like, I was like, this is not
Yeah.
okay, right? There was a lot of like then I had like my uncle who was on a lot of drugs, and my dad wasn't around. Um, I was living with my boyfriend at 15. Like I don't know, that just
You were
isn't.
surviving essentially.
Oh, I was surviving since I was little. Okay, I
Yeah.
mean since my parents got divorced at 5. It was me, my brother, and my two of my cousins, and we kind of just uh, we had to clean a lot. I remember I was like called Cinderella. Like a lot of people did not understand why I had to clean so much and like cook and do everything. And I
Why
actually
did
don't,
you?
because my mother like would scream, and I had no choice. Like this is what was told that I had to do. And
I see.
um, I don't know. What's really weird is like, I remember everything, right? But it's like, I'm not even in that realm or that life. Like the rebirths that I've had since I've gotten sober, um, is pretty miraculous. I mean, the amount of work that I've gone through, and at the age of 8, then I was sexually abused, and I wasn't protected by any parent, and that's when I told myself I wanted to change the world, and I never wanted children to go through what I went through. I went through like 2 weeks of like panic attacks, and my parents like had no idea why. Like I would like literally just start screaming and crying for no reason, and I didn't know why either. It's like literally I blacked it out until uh, I started therapy, doing like EMDR therapy, and it just is
Mhm.
wild. Like there's so much more, but I just like to respect my family because
Oh, of course.
I don't speak to them, and I do wish them well and pray for them every day to, have the best life possible. But for me, I can't be around them. They trigger me in ways that are not healthy. So,
Yeah, absolutely
and
understood.
yeah.
So, when I asked if you felt differently from the people that you were in rehab with, you said you could relate to their pain. And so you meant you related to their upbringing, their past, all the pain that they carried, which led them to, dependency, more or less.
Well, it depends on what, like Denver Health was just detox. I was just for a couple of days. So my rehab in Utah, was a very nice facility, and the people there was a lot of people who had a lot of money. And it was funny is like, it doesn't matter where you come from, right? Addiction can bite your ass, like if you're
Yep,
poor or you're rich, right?
that's right.
And what I realized is like, if you enable so many people, and you just keep giving to like the people that were rich, like they just had it always available and money, and like some of them were just sent to multiple rehabs and just kept relapsing, and they were really young. And I was like, I would always think to myself, like, I couldn't even imagine being in rehab at like 18, 20. I'm like,
Mhm.
they haven't even turned 21 to drink. Like,
Yeah.
um, but drugs and marijuana and stuff are different nowadays. Like, they're so much stronger and they mentally affect people completely different. And there was a lot of kids there for weed, but it was also a dual center. So it was for addiction and trauma. So there was a lot of people there for
Oh,
trauma
okay.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
So it was a really interesting, beautiful experience. And then I had a crazy event at the end when I was leaving. We had equine therapy, and I rode this horse a few times, or no, like twice or something. And I was going to ride him again, and I knew something was off, and he wouldn't like move. And he ended up bucking me off and like kicking me and like dragging me on the fence, and then rolled over and landed on me
Oh my
like this
God.
1,000 pound horse. And I only fractured a rib, and I mean, I had a nice concussion, but
Oh,
my therapist
Nicole.
and psychologist there, I was like crying for the horse. I know. So I'm like so sad because he was so sad that he did this to me. And I was like, oh my God, what was his name? Oh, why can't I think of it? Starts with an A. It's a singer.
So
I don't know.
you
Sorry.
you're laying there
It'll probably come to
injured.
me. But um,
You're laying there injured and you're feeling bad for the horse?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was like so sad. That's when like my therapist and psychiatrist was like, "You're actually a natural empath. Like this, we need to run you to the hospital. Like, stop. The horse will be okay." And then oh, his name is Axel. That's his name.
Axel.
And he had a lot of childhood trauma too, so it was kind of crazy that we both like bonded.
Oh.
And when I was there, I remember them asking me, um, on a scale, like, show me the level of like trauma that you think that you actually like went through. And so I'm like, moderate. And they're like, no, Nicole, it's like more straight up. Your heel is way
Mhm.
up here. And you don't really realize that you're actually living in trauma until you actually take a step back and like you lose like shit hits the fan, right?
Yeah.
um I may have been like, really good at a lot of things, right? But deep down, like my self-worth and how I felt was not like okay at all. And alcohol was like the only thing that like actually made me talk. Like I didn't even cry when I was a kid. I was like really shy. And uh, once I started drinking, I started being more social. And then 17 hit, and I tried cocaine for the first time. And then I had nice 3 years of partying like a rock star, and I got pregnant with my son. uh,
Wow.
and that was a hard one, because I didn't realize I was pregnant for like 4 months. And to this day, he is a blessing in disguise, and probably he saved my life. Like,
Oh, I love that.
because yeah, because we were like, no, we can't have a child, right? But then I go in and I'm so far along, and I'm like, oh my God, I fucked up this baby. Sorry.
Okay.
Like, I've been partying, like what the hell? And he turned out great. He is such I mean, we definitely have our battles. And he's an amazing musician, and he has, ADHD too, and has a lot of entitlement, and I don't know, normal sorry, um
Normal
17-year-old
year old
stuff,
stuff.
I guess you can say.
Yeah. Very
But
normal.
then like, so I yeah. And then, me and his dad were off and on right after we had him. I ended up getting 2 DUIs. And we weren't together, and we we're, I don't know, like we literally were such a trauma bond. It was ridiculous and it was so abusive. Um,
So
and
you're bringing up a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure so the audience
yeah,
understands a little bit. So help us understand from a timeline perspective. So you go to the shelter or this empty building and you're detoxing, but you did that all on your own.
so the shelter was my store. It was my
Okay.
for profit. I was
Okay.
actually trying to open up a children's home at the time, and it was called Unplug, and it stands for All You Need Is Patience, Love, Unity, and Gratitude. And I
I love
wanted to give them a space to show them that no matter where you come from, you could be successful still. And here I am, like, still drinking and partying, and I have my own kids, and um, I was making really good money, and I literally lost it all. Like, it's insane. So I
because
was
of the
told,
drinking.
I would like to say that, yeah, like 100%. Like the amount of partying I was doing and um, irresponsible spending, like $500 a night on, like, who does that? I mean, a lot of people do that, but it's ridiculous, right? And so I was mentored to open up a for-profit, a thrift store to like um, raise money for the children's home that I wanted to open. So I did that, and it like literally was across the street from where I grew up in these apartments, and that brought up a lot of feelings. Um, I was kicked out of my house. I was just out of control, actually. I was starting
So,
to really spiral down. Um, and then I lived there. I tried to live with my mom for 2 weeks, and that was like the first time, and it didn't work. So I'd rather have lived in my store. So I went there, and
wow. So tell me, I going back, I know you said as a child you never wanted to grow up and be like your parents.
I mean, I guess it was more of my family. I have such a different view on it because I am actually very grateful for everything that I've gone through. And my dad's 20 years sober, 20 plus years sober, and he
Amazing.
is, very supportive. He's actually watching the little one right now, playing with her. So, I wouldn't be here without all of that. And
That's true.
I embrace that daily. Like, I have no regrets at all. And the thing is like, one of my biggest things, I have some house rules that, you're never allowed to give up. You're not allowed to try. You either do or you don't. Give 100%. And we don't say the hate word because love is a huge part of my program, and
Mm,
following and opening up your heart and actually
yeah,
like becoming your authentic self. Like, so I have been like shedding layers after layers after layers. And it's not about changing who you are, it's about finding who you are, right?
mm,
And in order to do that, you really have to take all your toxic behaviors off the table, right?
yeah,
And then evaluate, accept, and be willing to do the work. Because if you
yeah,
can't accept it, then it's probably a really big chance that you're going to relapse or you. And I really think alcoholism and drug addiction and, like, there's sex addiction, food addiction, there's so many different like issues, right? It's all on a spectrum, and it's, are you willing to meet your dark side and really accept like that's who you are too, because you can't just be all this light over here. You have to accept that you are that person, and
yeah.
you did things, and you need to learn to forgive yourself at the end of the day.
How
And
do
I
you
think
do
that's
that,
what you,
Nicole? How do you forgive yourself?
by doing right things, like morally, not screwing people over. My kids have a safe house, food, clothes. I mean, they
Mhm.
always have, but like, it just, I don't know. I really live by the universal laws and being a good person, and helping others and just doing your best, whatever
Mhm.
that best is. It doesn't have to, like, everyone is on different levels, realms, whatever, right? But
Yeah.
comparing yourself to other people is probably the worst thing. So whatever you do is like do the best from what who you were yesterday. And if you can't do that, you need rest and you need to take a step back. Learn to like recognize and really like understand your body because it's all
Yeah.
connected. And that's where like, my motto is like discipline is the highest form of self-love, right? If you start like creating healthy daily habits and having these small wins every single day, like making your bed, sleep, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, working out every day, eating healthy, you start building this confidence, right? And you start like really truly seeing who you are. And then you really start learning to love yourself.
I love that.
But, there definitely are um, yeah, layers because one layer sheds and then I'm like, oh my gosh, another one. And like after I really learned that,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, let's walk through this tunnel today. No, I really learned a lot about myself and it really accepted my darkness and like who I was and how I manipulated, people and how I got to where I was at and um, really learning that I contributed to all of those other the relationships that I were in. I'm 50% of the problem too, right? And it's not
That's right.
just them. And it's really a mirror. Like you attract the level of what your self worth. And
Yeah.
I now would like to say that I want to say I'm 99% positive. I have I will be able to identify all narcissists and not be like, I'll see the red flags and I'll be like, no, 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 you got to go. It's not allowed in my house anymore. I put my kids through enough, and
Mm.
it's not easy.
How did your son and any children that were involved? I think your first two, maybe, or first.
I have
Um,
three. So I have twin daughters.
oh, right.
Um,
That's what I was thinking. So your twin
yeah.
daughters and your son, going through that process with you of, getting clean and getting sober. How did that change the relationship and how did they work through that with you?
You know, when I was in my store for 6 months, they were pretty traumatized and they really kind of shut down. Um, and there's still some issues, right? And we talk all the time. And they hate that I know things because I just know things. Like, you can't really get away with stuff when you've done it all. Well, I haven't
Right.
done it all, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, but once I started like communicating with them and being authentic and like them actually seeing what I actually went through, um, changed their perspective like quite a
Mhm.
bit. They're like, oh, we understand. Like, they are like, they have my back, man.
I
Those
love that.
three, they, uh, man, I am so grateful for my three oldest because they like always support me no matter what.
That's amazing.
And yeah, no, I allow everyone to express themselves, even though sometimes it's not the healthiest communication. And I still like get triggered and I'll be like, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I was just triggered and I was overstimulated and I shouldn't have said that. And I say that all the time because, like, I got to accept my shit, right? And like,
Yep.
that's the whole thing about even addiction is accepting your
Yeah.
shit. Like, you are the one, you might have went through a lot of trauma or, whatever you went through. It's your shit that you keep doing, and you're an adult. And if you choose not to actually work on yourself or like stop this toxic behavior, whatever you do, that's on you. And your life is the way it is because you are choosing that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it comes down to a choice
Yeah,
and
I
communicating
agree.
and being honest. And just
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So and like really, this past year, I don't know, when you asked about how do you like your self-worth, um, there was a lot of dark nights, but I just got sick of it. I was like, I'm done. Like, we're gonna get up. Like, I naturally always work out and really eat healthy. It is something that has saved me mentally since I was little. I started playing basketball when I was 5, but uh, that didn't stop the negative thoughts, right? So I needed to do something different. Like, what was I going to do? So I'm really good at go, go, go. I can have a schedule and I am busy and I can go. Sitting still and doing nothing and sitting back is a whole nother ball game. And that's what I did in 2023. And it was a very trying year. I mean, I didn't just sit, like, I obviously took care of my children and stuff, but I just
Slow
really sat with my thoughts and identified where I was the
down.
problem in the whole, in everything in my life, and like where I'm at, Um,
Yeah.
and so that's where like getting sick of it and stepping up and never giving up. Like I don't know. My dad's like, your resilience is beyond resilient, Nicole. Like, you just keep getting up. Like, I don't know how you do that. And, it's my purpose. God has a big purpose for me, my children. I wake up now for myself. So, I mean, my kids were always first, but um, it's God, me, my kids, family, finances,
So what
hobbies.
so what is your purpose? What do you believe your purpose is?
My pain is my purpose, and I'm here to help others walk out of their darkness and like truly see the light. And, you know, um, that includes a lot of higher power. And I know there's a lot of people that don't believe in God, and that's totally cool. Like, my higher
Mm,
power is love. He's in my heart. Like, I believe we're all connected as one. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in Buddha. I believe, you know what I mean? I'm not here to um, just put everything in a box. Like, I'm here to learn, and
yeah.
my clients teach me and I teach them, and it's a beautiful thing. And like, that's where this service work, after you get sober, they recommend you doing service work and helping others. And it really helps you stay sober.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be accountable, right? Like, you can't, like your
That's
clients, right? I'm like, oh,
true.
sorry, I can't make it today. I decided to go to the bar. Like, no, that sounds ridiculous. So, yeah.
So tell us about your work. What is your work?
So I am a coach and I help women. I do have some guys, and I've helped some kids too. And I basically help them shift their subconscious mindset with shifting their daily habits through
Mm,
like fitness and nutrition and your sleep patterns and your mindset. And, we take a look at what your body type is. I put them on a nutrition plan, figure out their macros that they need to eat. And then I put them on a workout plan, 6 days a week.
wow.
I And here, like, this is what I do, right? I always That's what I do, right? um and everyone is different, and it's very personalized to the schedule of what they can do. And so I work with them, and we start making goals. And, like, some of my sober people, it's more really about sobriety. It's not so much about, like, the workout and the food. But it's funny is that, like, the mental part is such a huge contributor to why you're not working out and why you're eating so unhealthy. And so if you don't figure that out, it's just like alcohol, then you aren't going to change your daily lifestyle. And
Mm-hmm.
nothing, you're going to keep going in the same cycle. So there's so much, we do a lot of internal work too with my clients. And it's actually really, it's beautiful to watch them grow. And they have setbacks, and then they grow, they get back up. And um so yeah, I mean, I that's kind of the gist of it, I believe. I mean, I think there's a lot more to
It
but
sounds, I mean, it sounds like the work you do is giving back to people that were in the same position you were and just showing them how you every day keep yourself strong and on
mhm,
track in a healthy way. And, if it helped you, then obviously it's going to help others. So I think that's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, like, my program
Love
is
that.
exactly like what I did to, like, stay sober. And everyone's sobriety is completely different, right? Like,
Hmm.
there's some of the people that want to go to AA, some people don't like it, and there's
Yeah.
different routes to go. And hey, man, if you stop drinking, kudos to you. And I don't care how you do it. Like, just do it one
Yeah.
day at a time and don't give up. And if you do fall, you can get back up, because
Yeah.
there are people in the community out there to help you.
So would you say your mission is to help as many people as possible stop drinking?
You know,
What is
um, uh, I mean, I don't even know how to. My mission is to help as many people as possible to get out of their darkness and that pain. Because so when I went to treatment at Ascend, they were like, my first addiction is pain and chaos, and my second
Mhm.
is alcohol. Um,
Mhm.
and so that addiction to pain and chaos is so hard to get over. Like, I literally, like, this is what I had to overcome this past year. Like,
Why do
alcohol
you
is
think
the
that is?
because it's stuck in your subconscious mind, and you've created all these daily habits that are surrounded by your subconscious mind. Like, you're literally thinking most of your day through your daily habits in your subconscious mind. And if you don't shift that and make intentions to want to change how you think, then you're gonna keep repeating the same patterns. And then, like, if you stay around the same environment, you hang around five millionaires, you're gonna be the sixth. Hang around five crackheads, you're gonna be the sixth crackhead. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
your environment is a huge impact on who you are. And I mean, there are people that are strong and don't go to that road, but there's probably some other mental things going on with that person.
Mhm. Sure.
And that's okay though. Like,
Yeah.
I think, too, it's just like being open and aware to help people, like, accept that it's okay to not have all your shit together. You don't have to be this perfect mom. You don't have to, you know, we all have really bad days. And,
Sure do.
at the end of the day, like, the thing that is lacking the most, I think, in society is the connection and the community.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that is so needed in order. Like, humans are social creatures, right? Like,
Yeah.
we need this connection. And it's awesome that we can do this through, like, the computer now and talk to
I
people.
know.
But that hug and going outside and, like, talking to people and, like, knowing that you have someone there for you,
Yeah.
that isn't, I guess it's unconditional and it's not conditional. Like it's, be there for thy neighbor, right? Like you go and give him some sugar. You don't need sugar back, right? Um, and I think by you working, well, I know by you working on yourself and opening up your own heart, then you can really start, you know, the ripple effect of creating a community that's like healthy and there for each other. And,
Mhm.
but it all starts with you. You can't
Yeah.
help others. I
So
mean,
you help
I,
yourself.
yeah, no, I mean, it's true. And,
Yeah.
um, it was difficult, like, this past year coaching and me going through some of my dark nights. I knew how to, like, coach them all and stuff, but you still kind of feel like a hypocrite, right? And but
Mm,
then, I came to this realization. It's like, no, look, I still get up and work out and I eat healthy and I'm still there, right?
yeah.
Therapists, coaches, we all have bad days and it's okay. And being honest about that is what's going to help others know that, like, it's okay, like where they're at, and
Absolutely.
accepting, So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so my mission is just to change the world. It's fine. One person at a time, one
Change
day
the
at a time.
world. Okay. All
That's
right.
what it's been since I was 8. But now it's more of like change the world, change one person at a time, change. And it's not, maybe I should restate that, like not change the world. How about awaken the world to
Mm,
who and what they are?
I love
I
that.
like that. That kind of just came out. I just thought
See?
of that.
There you
Oh,
go. It's the
yeah.
moment where it just kind of
It, it just like blew out. That's awesome. I'm going to so use that now. Okay.
and I have no
Thanks.
doubts you will awaken the world and
Thank
help
you.
them find their true selves, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all in there somewhere. We just kind of get lost at times and need help getting back.
Yeah, this world's hard. It's
It
not
is.
easy.
It
It's
is.
really hard. I mean, it's always been hard. There's different, like every time frame is different, and
And not enough
it's
people talk about it,
but we
right?
are becoming way more disconnected
Yeah.
from each other, and it's because we're disconnected from ourselves and our own heart, and so we
Mhm.
can't even connect with others because we can't even connect with ourselves, and so
I
you
love
really
that.
need to learn to connect with, the gift that God gave you, and this is this miraculous body and mind and soul, and waking up grateful every day because I literally have died almost a couple times from alcohol, a horse, like, but I'm still here,
Poor horse.
I know. It was like literally 2 weeks before I was coming home. It was so
Oh my
crazy. And I,
gosh.
I felt like it happened for a reason. I was really like therapy, when you go in trauma therapy, you go in waves, right? Like you don't just stay down there. And I just couldn't get out. I was really in the bottom. But the good old horse got me out of that because I was in a lot of pain. And when you're
Oof.
in rehab, you're not allowed any medicine or anything. So I think they gave me, I was allowed muscle relaxers, and they'd check on me every like 2 hours for my
Mm,
breathing because of my rib and concussion. I don't know. They were lovely. It was not like
mm.
they, the rehab was so graceful,
They sound
and
lovely.
obviously they felt horrible, but it's not their, yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
it's an amazing place. If anyone ever needs to go to a residential, I highly recommend Ascend Recovery in Utah.
Awesome. Well, and we can make notes of that in the notes here so everybody has access to it. So, I always like to ask some questions at the end. I call it like the little fire session here with some questions.
Shoot
Um,
it.
so tell us what, and maybe you have more than one. If you're like me, you do. But what are some of your favorite reads?
I have actually 4, and they're different
Oh
for
wow.
all. So, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate helped me in my. I read it when I was in treatment in Utah. My
Okay.
therapist had me read it, and it really helped me connect my trauma and my addiction and understand it. And it is such a beautiful
Wow.
written book. It explains like addiction, trauma, and how to heal it. And like, there's some really dark uh, people, like the addiction in that these people were going through in the book was really, really dark. Like, they went through a
Mhm.
lot of trauma, right? But just his awareness and his research of years of connecting trauma and addiction together, from your childhood, even when you were like, when you're pregnant, that trauma right there affects the baby, right? And he's
Sure.
just all around. I like actually all of his books. They're all really good. Gabramante is a great author, and he's a doctor and a speaker and all kinds of stuff. My second one would be The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It really teaches you how to be present in the moment, and it's a lovely read because if you know, that's another issue is we're always trying to we're always worrying about things that are out of our control. And was it like 85% of the things, I don't know if that's the correct percentage, but it's up there. That doesn't even happen, and you're worrying about things that are out of your control. And really, we only have now. We don't, and yesterday, like, we can't fix that, right? So we only have now. Like, what are you doing in the moment right now, like, to truly become the best version of yourself that you were born to be,
I
right?
love that.
And then I have Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He talks about like overcoming fears and unlocking like personal success through like talking through the devil
Hmm.
and going through your ego. It's very, it's actually, that's probably my favorite book out of all four of them. And then I have Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah, such a good book.
Yeah, such a good book. I mean, if people realized how much their habits are really affecting their day and they just shifted them, obviously it takes time. And that's where, I come in and I keep you
Mhm.
accountable and I help you, because you can't fix everything all at once. Like, that's
That's
not
right.
reasonable. So, those are my four books.
I love it. I love Atomic Habits. It's definitely a great one. I
Mm-hmm.
have not heard of that Napoleon Hill book, so I'm gonna have to look into that. That sounds good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a really old book, uh like back in the 30s. I don't,
Huh, that's
it's
good.
really old. They didn't even want to have it published because it talked about the devil and stuff. So just look into it. It's really good. It's
Huh.
one of my favorites. Yeah.
All right, I definitely will. And for the audience, I'm going to make sure to put all of this in the notes as well, so you can definitely resource any of these titles and check them out for yourself. So Nicole, tell us your favorite quote.
um there's a lot. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite one is the self-discipline is the best form of self-love. If you can
Mhm.
really learn to discipline your mind and really work on yourself, that, like, a lot of people think it's selfish by putting yourself first, but it's not. You have to, if you can't control or like, take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anyone else, right? And
True.
so discipline is what rewires your subconscious mind. It's what,
Mhm.
it gets me out of bed every morning at 4:30. I wake up at 4:30 and go to the gym. I didn't today. I had to work out at home because Tommy decided to wake up around the same time and wouldn't let me
Oh,
leave. So, yeah, so, it's important to develop discipline and keeps you accountable to your word. And
yeah,
that being accountable to your word is what builds your self-worth, because it makes you like feel so much better, right? Like,
yeah,
you're not lying to yourself anymore. You're honest to yourself, and you don't have to have any more secrets. Like, you are
yeah,
as sick as your secrets, and that AA statement is true on all boards of life. So
I love that. You're as sick
yeah,
as your secrets.
yeah.
Mhm. That's a good one. That's a what Oprah would call a tweet moment.
Okay.
So tell me what your own self-love routine looks like.
um, well, I go to the gym in the morning at 4 or at 5, and I have an 80-20 diet. I make sure I do eat ice cream, but 80% of the time I eat extremely healthy, and so do all my kids. I take baths a lot because it
Mm,
calms my nerves down. I am working on my nervous system. It's probably like one of the last things to heal. I maybe it's not the last thing. I don't. I think it's gonna just keep going and going. And I mean, because I have teenagers now, I never thought that's a whole nother ball game. Teenagers like to compare
yes.
to a baby. The baby's easy, and she's a monster and has so much energy. But teenagers, I'm like, okay, what what emotion are we feeling this second? Because
Yeah, yeah.
no,
Trust
I
me, I
love them.
understand. I have
They're
two,
like
so I understand.
I have great teenagers. I really do. I think it's more of triggering myself and who I was and what I still need to heal. And I think that's what the actual problem is when they trigger me and I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's
Mhm.
more me than them because they're great. They're actually really good kids. So,
Yeah,
um,
I always say a trigger is an indication there's parts of us that still are unhealed, right? It's just kind
oh,
of like
absolutely.
a sign like, hey, there's something there I need to work on. But
I mean, I think you can be overstimulated at times too.
sure,
Um, and this world nowadays with instant gratification and go, go, go and all the um,
absolutely.
everything, right? It overstimulates people, and learning how to recognize and be aware of your body,
Yeah,
which I generally I am, but there's times when I just get so overstimulated, and then I'm just
no
all
good.
scattered and
Yeah.
irritated, and I'm like, I need a moment. So I go take a bath, and it calms me down. It grounds me. I meditate a lot. Actually, I meditate every single day for about an hour. Um, I do a lot of sound meditations. There's a lot of YouTubes, like 432 hertz. There's a couple of ohms. Um, YouTubes I listen to, but I do a lot of meditation and breath work to calm my nerves and to realign myself. I usually do that in the afternoon
It's awesome.
because I have to do it. And my kids know too. I'm like, I do it when the baby's taking a nap. I'm like, it's my time.
Good for
They're like,
you.
okay, mom,
Good for you.
don't disturb
That's
me.
awesome.
So yeah, that's every mom, everyone needs to do that. Like,
Yes.
listen, tell your kids you are going into the room, taking your time to yourself, or mommy's gonna be a monster. Okay, that's all you got to say, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay." I'm just
Yeah.
kidding, but no, for
Yep.
real though, they really
I
need
always
to.
say I need me time. I need some time just for myself to unplug, unwind, and decompress, because that's what helps
Absolutely,
me kind of charge my own batteries.
yeah. I mean, being an empath, I definitely get overstimulated, and uh, I mean, I don't. An empath like feels people's pains, and there's just a lot, right? Like I take in a lot of energy. If I don't go take that time to myself, I really am off. And I'm really learning to block those people's energies and not actually
Yeah,
take them in because they're not mine. Like, I don't want your shit. Like,
that's a
I
great.
now know that I cannot heal the world. I can only heal willing, accepting clients. And
That's
there's a
right.
huge difference.
Very true.
Um,
Yes, they have to be
instead of,
willing and able.
trying to save everyone. That's what
Well,
gets me in trouble half of the time.
well, Nicole, this was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for
Oh,
jumping on the
thank
Self Love
you.
Lounge today and sharing with us your story. You definitely, just exude so much courage and
Thank
definitely
you.
resist. resilience for everything you've been through and the person you are today. So you should be really proud of who you are and the work you do. That's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to my heart.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you
Absolutely.
just have to hear it, right? Like,
We all
it
need to
just
hear it.
is. Absolutely.
For
Everyone
sure.
should tell, like, just be kind, be nice, smile to someone,
Be
right? Like,
nice.
why do you gotta be an ass? Like,
Absolutely. So, for those of you that joined this afternoon or whatever time it is in your world, thank you for jumping on and sharing your time with us today and listening to Nicole's story. We will make sure to put all of her notes and where to find her. So make sure to check that out. Nicole, is there any final thoughts or anything you want to add for our listeners?
if anyone is sober curious, I do have a 30-day sober curious on my website. It's NicoleRistau.com. So it's NicoleRistau.com. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, it's called the underscore empower you underscore way. And then
Mm,
on Facebook, it's the empower you way.
I love it. I love it.
And
And
my
I'll add
website.
that into the notes as well so that everyone knows how to find
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, I think my TikTok is the same.
Same.
I it might just be my name actually, Nicole Ristau. I
Okay.
I have to look that up.
Well, guys, we'll make sure to throw those in the note for you so you know how to find Nicole. Definitely stay tuned. And thank you again for jumping on. We look forward to talking with you all again next week. Until then, I love you to the moon and back.